Hi everybody, this is my first tutorial. This is CyberBunny. I'm going to show you how to put this model or a model on top of the background on this background. And to get started, we're going to open up a new layer, and I work big, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So width is going to be 1200 and height is going to be 800. Go with a transparent background. We're going to name this Twisted because you guys all know me as that. And I found this great model, and we're going to put her on here, and we're going to scale her to size. And you can do that one of two ways. You can either go into edit and transform and scale, or you can use the hotkeys, and the hotkeys on Windows is Control T. And so you're going to end up holding Shift and using your mouse to scale her up. And the reason why you're going to do that is because if you don't, you're going to come up with a model or an image that looks really stretched, and you really don't want that. Alright, so now we have her in our, I'm going to call this a frame, and we're going to grab a background. And I found this one and I really love this. I love the coloring. So we're just going to copy the image. We're going to paste it and scale this to size. And this you really don't need to use your Shift key in doing backgrounds, because backgrounds can always look a little funky. Alright, take some of this excess off, so we're going to crop it. And the first way I'm going to show you is you're going to lower the opacity, and I usually go down to like soft light, and I lower the opacity right down so that way I can see the model. And we're going to grab our polygonal lasso tool, and then we're going to zoom right in on her so that way we can see all of her lines. And we're going to just start taking this and clicking around. I'm not going to be perfect because of time, so I'm just going to go quick around her. When you're doing this yourself, I would go ahead and try and be as precise as you can. And before I learned how to do any of this, I used to have Sin cut out my models for me because he was way better at it than I was. But I think that became tiresome for the both of us because I was emailing him all of my models and he was cutting them all out for me, so he was pretty much doing 90% of the work, and he could have just been building my avatars. So after a lot of research and tutorials, I found out what worked best for me, and I'm sharing that with you. So you're just going to go around and start just framing her out. And like I said, when you have the time, try and be as precise as you can, or at least leaving some of the white like around her, the ruffles of her dress. And using the polygonal lasso tool, you can't really do anything else. So if you're trying to create avatars and chat at the same time, it's not going to work out for you because the moment you click off of Photoshop and onto something else, the lines will connect. It doesn't matter. Okay, we're going to need to get these pieces in here as well. And then you can't just click on the spot or you're going to lose that whole selection. So on Windows, you're going to hold down the Alt key and you're going to click. And that's going to add the selection in there. So we're going to get between her arms and all of the white. All right, so now we have our model mapped out, and you see all of the little dotted lines. Those are the selection. We're going to go in inverse and bring the background back up. And here, there's a hotkey for the mask, and once you hit that, it's going to take her out. Now, as you can see, that there are some white spots around the ruffles and around her leg and in her hair. With masking, what differs from the erase tool is that it gives you some more freedoms to clean that stuff up and work with your mistakes. So you make sure that the mask is selected, and anything that you paint with black paint is going to take away, and anything you paint with white paint is going to add. So we're going to select white paint. We're just going to go in and start adding some of that background back to the model and cover up those little mistakes that we have, and try and get her as cleaned up as best as possible. Now, as I was saying, I work big, and it was a tip that was taught to me by a really smart man and great avatar designer. And the reason why we want to work on a big piece of canvas instead of avatar size is because once you start to shrink the avatar down, you're going to start losing some of those imperfections, those mistakes that you had before. So you see you have some rough lines and rough edges. But if we start to shrink her, you'll see that those lines and imperfections start to fade away. So that's the first way, using the polygonal lasso tool. The second way I'm going to show you, I'm going to lower the opacity back down again. And instead of grabbing the polygonal lasso tool, we're just going to add the mask already. And we're going to grab some black paint. Grab your brush. And we're just going to start painting on the model herself. So just go around and trace her lines, get some of that hair. Just start painting away. Even zoom in. Oops. Get as around as much as you can. Now the hotkeys to make the brush bigger or smaller are the open and close brackets. The left one will make the brush smaller, and the right will make it bigger. And you basically just start painting her in. And when you think you've got a rough idea of where she is placed, you can bring back the background some and just start taking that background out. Now, the reason why I use masks instead of just an erase tool is because you can only go back so many steps in Photoshop. And each mouse click is considered a step. So basically what this is kind of cheating on erasing. And save yourself a lot of heartache. Especially because you can start painting stuff back in and get around some of the areas that you wouldn't have been able to before. Let's check her out and see how far we've gotten. Again, I'm not going to be so perfect, and not only that, I do like to leave some of the background on top of the model, unless I'm cutting the model out of the background, which I do that as well. That'll be a next tutorial, because I like to play with shadowing, as I'm sure some of you have seen. But this is an quick and easy way of getting your model onto a background. Okay guys, so this, like I said, this is my first tutorial. I'll be trying to make some more depending on how real time goes. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email will be in the description, but it's cyberbunnygirl@gmail.com. You can always find me in my room, which is the Cosmic Bunny Lounge down in the underground. You can leave me a PM on my board, which is cosmicbunnygraphics.com, and I'll leave a URL there. You can also play telephone with Sin. If you see him in the rooms, you go ahead and just leave him a PM, give him your question. He'll be sure to get it to me, and I'll try and find a way to contact you. And so yeah, that is putting your model on top of a background.